This photograph, taken by John Whitman for Washington Dossier on January 3, 1983, at Nancy Dickerson's Merrywood estate, features from left to right Nancy Kohlberg, aged 55 at the time, Jerome Kohlberg, aged 57, Nancy Dickerson, aged 54, and George Stevens, Jr., aged 56. The evening celebrated the preview of Being with Kennedy, a documentary co-produced by Nancy Dickerson and renowned documentarian Robert Drew. The film offered rare and candid insights into John Kennedy's presidency, featuring behind-the-scenes footage of Oval Office discussions and Kennedy's leadership style, underscored by his humor and grace under pressure. The guest list at this glamorous evening read like a who's who of Washington's cultural, political, and social elite. Among those in attendance were the William French Smiths, Pamela Harriman, Lindy Boggs, the Roger Mudds, Larry Pressler, John Bradamus, the Robert Strausses, the Jim Wrights, and Angier Biddle Duke, to name just a few. Each guest brought their own unique contributions to Washington society, from political influence to cultural leadership, making the gathering a reflection of Nancy Dickerson's ability to unite the most distinguished figures of her time. Jerome Kohlberg was to eventually found Kohlberg Kravis Roberts and Company, known as KKR, attended the event with his wife, Nancy Kohlberg. At the time, Jerome was involved in Golden West Television, a company he co-owned that invested in and distributed television and film content. His presence at the event highlighted his support for storytelling projects like Being with Kennedy, which aligned with his interest in preserving history and cultural narratives. Nancy Kohlberg, a noted philanthropist, was deeply committed to supporting cultural and social initiatives alongside her husband. She was known for her graciousness and passion for education, the arts, and community building, making her a natural presence at an event that celebrated history and leadership. Together, the Kohlbergs represented a blend of business acumen and cultural advocacy. Nancy's most notable philanthropic contribution was her pioneering work in sustainable agriculture and environmental conservation through the establishment of Cabbage Hill Farm Foundation in the 1990s. At Cabbage Hill Farm, she implemented innovative programs, including one of the first commercial aquaponics greenhouses in the U.S., which promoted sustainable farming practices. She also developed breeding programs for endangered heritage livestock breeds, preserving biodiversity for future generations. To connect her farm's work with the community, she founded the Flying Pig, a farm-to-table restaurant that sourced directly from Cabbage Hill Farm, serving as a model for the farm-to-table movement in the Hudson Valley. Her legacy exemplifies the integration of environmental stewardship and community engagement, making her a trailblazer in sustainable philanthropy. Nancy Dickerson, the host, was a trailblazing journalist whose career began far from Washington's elite. Born Nancy Hanchman in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, she graduated from the University of Wisconsin and moved to Washington, D.C., where she started as a Senate secretary. Her sharp intellect and drive propelled her into broadcast journalism, where she became CBS News' first female correspondent. Reporting on pivotal moments in American history, including the March on Washington, the Civil Rights Movement, and John Kennedy's presidency, Nancy broke barriers in a male-dominated field. Her connection to the Kennedys was both professional and personal. Nancy admired John Kennedy's ability to lead with humor and resilience, often recounting anecdotes about his charm and wit. One memorable moment she often shared was seeing JFK, during a tense meeting, crack a joke to diffuse the pressure in the room, an insight into his skillful balance of leadership and relatability. In Being with Kennedy, Nancy narrated footage that captured this duality, showing Kennedy puffing on a cigar while grappling with difficult decisions, supported by his brother Bobby and his team of advisors. The film offered an intimate glimpse into the Camelot years and resonated deeply with those who remembered the era's optimism and grace. The event took place at Merrywood, Nancy Dickerson's stunning estate overlooking the Potomac River. Built in 1919, Merrywood was famously the childhood home of Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis after her mother, Janet Lee Bouvier, married Hugh Auchincloss in 1942. Jackie spent her formative years there, developing her poise, love of literature, and appreciation for the arts. In the 1980s, Nancy transformed Merrywood into a hub of Washington society, hosting glittering events that combined culture, history, and glamour. Today, Merrywood remains a private residence, and its surrounding area has been developed into a prestigious neighborhood that blends historical charm with modern luxury. George Stevens, Jr., another prominent figure in the photograph, was a visionary in preserving and celebrating American culture. Motivated by a desire to recognize and honor the giants of the performing arts, Stevens founded the Kennedy Center Honors in 1978. He wanted to create a unique event that transcended traditional award ceremonies, blending heartfelt tributes with live performances. The honors were designed to celebrate the lifetime achievements of artists whose contributions shaped the cultural fabric of America, from music and dance to theater and film. Stevens believed that Washington, as the nation's capital, needed an event that celebrated creativity at the highest level, bringing together political, cultural, and artistic worlds in a powerful and unifying way. As the producer of the Kennedy Center Honors for 37 years, Stevens shaped its format and tone, pairing legendary honorees with surprise performances from their peers and celebrity fans. Notable moments from his tenure included opera singer Leontine Price being serenaded by Jesse Norman, Yo-Yo Ma, and Audra McDonald in 1980, the poignant tribute to Fred Astaire in 1981, featuring a performance by Mikhail Baryshnikov, and the unforgettable 1997 tribute to Bob Dylan with a haunting rendition of Forever Young by Patti Smith. Stevens' deep understanding of storytelling, honed through his Hollywood roots as the son of legendary director George Stevens of movies Shane and Giant fame, allowed him to craft emotional and celebratory evenings that resonated deeply with audiences. The photograph encapsulates the evening's blend of cultural, financial, and artistic influence. Jerome and Nancy Kohlberg's interest in media through Golden West Television connected them to the themes of the event, while George Stevens Jr.'s contributions to American storytelling resonated with Nancy Dickerson's focus on preserving the Camelot legacy. Nancy's personal life was as dynamic as her professional one. Her first marriage to Lehman Brothers banker Wyatt Dickerson introduced her to Washington's elite financial and social circles. Together, they raised a blended family, which included Nancy's son, John Dickerson, who would go on to become one of America's most respected journalists. Following her divorce from Wyatt in 1982, Nancy later married John Whitehead, the former chairman of Goldman Sachs and Deputy Secretary of State, whose shared passion for history and diplomacy complemented Nancy's cultural interests. This gathering at Merrywood symbolized Nancy Dickerson's reinvention, both personally and professionally. It marked her transition from journalist to producer, allowing her to bring history to life through storytelling. The January 3, 1983 event was not just a celebration of being with Kennedy, but also a testament to Nancy's ability to connect people and ideas, bridging politics, culture, and business with her unique charm and insight.